getting the user engagement is really where this thing really gets a lot of traction. Have any of you used Cover It Live or an equivalent? What was your application?
We're using the Cover It Live, our football beat writer for Tennessee. Started 3 weeks ago, weekly 1-hour chat.
Oh, great.
And he's just played around with it. He's able to do the polls and the questions, and it's really worked out. Good traffic too. We posted it as a splash so people know, ends up people in the paper that it's going.
That's great. Any others using, and yours?
Saturday press conferences, forums, campus, and stuff like this, just to keep people involved.
How about breaking news coverage? Anybody use this in a big breaking news event? It's that serial, that trickle out of information. It's very supportive of that, given the time stamping and everything like that. Back in the day, we were covering the Tour de France. I sent a guy over there, and he was sending emails, so we couldn't get Tour de France coverage live. So he's following around in one of the cars and reporting updates throughout. The power of the timestamp really resonates when we articulate that newspapers, our local news sites, are living news flow mechanisms that really bring in real-time information and continue to carry the story forward minute by minute. So it has a very powerful communications component, but also a message to the consumer that we're always on. Yes?
I like it too that if you can keep it as almost like an archive, if someone wants to go back and read it later, if they have been able to go to the chat, it stays there and they can go back and read it on the spot.
We think that when we have a breaking news story, we'll start with just a quick flash on the web page. It's not even a story as we all do, but to your point exactly, if you can see how that police chase evolved minute by minute, it gives you a sense of the timeline and how things unfolded. So absolutely. Any other experiences with Cover It Live or equivalents, or are there other platforms out there that you found to be effective in building these aggregations of real-time feeds of updates? You can do it on a web page pretty easily with standard web interface design. But anyway, so we found that to be effective. We're going to keep using it until we find a better way to do this. It is definitely a mode of communication that works very well in a news environment. And again, you guys probably know a lot more about this than I do, so I'm a little humbled by the fact that you guys have probably a lot of experience with this. I'm just using this as a means by which we can surface your experience, so please feel free to keep bringing those forward. Where we're spending a lot of time now is with live video feeds. We think that this is a way to give a view into what's going on in the community, a real view, and I often find myself sideways with some of my senior colleagues when I make comments like, well, we've only had a language for 50,000 years. The need for written word may have already exceeded its lifespan. And so don't try that with anybody who has hiring and firing over you, because they don't seem to like that. But the point being, though, that our brains are still hardwired from millions of years of evolution of gathering information through our eyeballs and experiencing things. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I'd submit a video clip's worth 1,000,000 words, because you can see things that can't be communicated verbally and experience it at a much deeper level. So we see that this is a critical component to what we do with our news coverage, whether it's in Madison, Wisconsin, or Coos Bay, Oregon. The community is looking for ways to see what's going on, understand whether it's a college football rally or a crime scene. And when we sat back in a planning session recently, we said, well, what would our homepage look like in 10 years? What would that main entry point to our site look like, some years down the road when technology continues to advance and connection speeds continue to increase in speed? And one of the views was, well, it's just going to be a bunch of views into what's really going on right now, and you can go in and watch a game or go in and catch the basketball game or a debate or whatever it might be, or even just go down to the park and see what's going on there as well. So 100 views into the community, I don't know if we'll ever get there. Maybe. I don't even know if that's a good user experience, because we haven't been through that yet. But to give real-time view into what's happening is a powerful way of delivering our work. How many have been trialing any live video feeds? Yours? What do you use?
Yeah, we do a lot of video. But what we found on the live scene is that the majority of our views come from our just regular
Right, and that's an important observation, that the difference in the metrics between video views and page views, they're completely different. You can't really put them side by side, and we find that managers and people in finance are always saying, why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense. There's 1,000, over here we have 50,000, why bother? And it's because we're building the habit. We're building the understanding that our websites have these live views into the community. If we don't build this habit, if we don't move along with the expectations of our audience, we'll not be able to be viable, in the years ahead. Any other live video experimentation going on that you guys are familiar with? Yeah.
I'm with the Daily News Journal. The most success we've had with our live streams is, for instance, a couple months ago we had a sheriff's officer who was accused of first-degree murder for running over a small child. It was a big hoopla, and that garnered, it was like a 4-day process, and actually 14 was there doing the same thing on TV. We actually kind of matched, not matched, I don't know what the TV numbers were, but our numbers for live streaming that court trial was really high. And then the other big thing we had was a town hall discussion with one of our state reps. But like when we try and do minimal things like cover like Veterans Dam Square, something that somebody can get to locally, it's not very high because I think people are just going to go there instead of come to us to see it.
We streamed live the first Obama-McCain debate over in Orangeburg, and everybody was disappointed when they started looking at the numbers, 5,000, 6,000 at any point in time. And we were thinking, well, that's a phenomenal success. First of all, because people weren't expecting the Orangeburg site to have it, and they discovered it. And second of all, because audiences are just getting attuned to this mode of information flow. Other live, and this is something you can take. I was screwing around with my iPhone yesterday. You just pop it, and if you haven't experienced it, it's really easy. You go on and you hit live, and it begins running the video right into the designated location on your web page. It couldn't be simpler. Could it be better? Could the quality be higher? Probably, but then again, a super slick video presentation isn't really the aesthetic or even the reality of what we're delivering to our audiences. It's real, it's live, the gritty video quality is actually, as we've all come to, I think, find, is part of the draw of it. It feels more real than a polished, highly edited piece. So these are a few of the most prominent, I'm not saying the best, some of the most prominent streaming live video applications for smartphones that are out there. Most of them are free. And we'll just spend a second because I'd like to learn more if you've had any experience with any of these that you find to be particularly good or not. I know I would benefit from that insight, but also I'm sure that the rest of us would be interested to hear what you've experienced. But to start with, probably the most widely adopted, Quick is really taking off. For a while we thought it was going to go away. About 6 to 12 months ago, it seemed to be fading in terms of its utilization. You can use a number of websites to monitor which of these platforms are being used the most. But live streaming with on-demand playback, covers both bases, real time, which in a time-shifted world may not work for everybody. But then you can always